Okay, good morning. We are on 13b, 8 lines from the bottom. Um, and we're talking about the process of smicha, or ordination of judges or rabbis in general. Amalei Rav Acha v'Rei Rav Ashi. Rav Acha said, "Biyada mamash samchin lei." Do you have to actually like physically lean your hand on the person to give this ordination? Amalei said, "Samchin lei bishma." No, it's not a literal smicha. It's a verbal one. You do it by giving him the name, the title. Karile Rabbi. They call him Rabbi. V'yavile Rishusa Lamedan Daine and Dine Knasos. And they give him the authority to judge monetary questions, monetary cases. So now the Gemara says, "V'chad lo samich." You can't do it with one. The Mishnah said you need three people for smicha. You can't do it with one. V'amar Vidam Arav. Rav Yehuda said, "Baram zachar osa ish latov." He said this person should be remembered well. Who's this person? Rav Yehuda ben Baba Shemo. His name was Rav Yehuda ben Baba. Why? Shilmalehu nishtachlu dine knossos Yisrael. If not for him, then we would have forgotten the rules of knas of fines. So Gemara says nishtachlu. What? They would have been forgotten. Nigrasinu. So you learn them again. Like if you forget something, then you go learn it again. Which is a little bit of an odd comment because it's fine if things are written as we have them today. Then you can just go open the book again and study them again. But can you really like relearn oral law that's been forgotten? So that might have to do with the hermeneutics of how these things are derived. That the Gemara is very concerned with. How you derive all these rules from what's written in the Torah. So if you still have the methodology, then you can restore the lost knowledge. But anyway, the Gemara says, so you could study them again. What do you care? Why is it so critical if they had been forgotten? Forget things all the time. Ella, we have to reread it. What does it mean? If not for this Rav Yehuda ben Bava, then batlu dine knasos Yisrael. Then the rules of knas of fines would have fallen into disuse. Why? Shapamachas gozra malchus rashag zer Yisrael. One time, the Roman Empire enacted decrees against the Jewish people, or against Palestine. Shekol somech yahareg. Anybody who gives this ordination is subject to death. Anybody who receives the ordination is subject to death. Not only that, the whole city where people are ordained will be destroyed. And the boundaries of that town. In other words, not just the town is destroyed, but everything, the area around the town presumably means the 2,000 amos outside the town, the Tchum Shabbos, would be wiped out also. So in other words, complete, destructive ban against this ordination, which obviously continues this tradition. Masa Yehuda ben Bava. So this Yehuda ben Bava, what did he do? He went and sat between two large mountains, which was between two large cities, between the Tchum Shabbos, the 2,000 Amma extension of the city. In other words, he was in neither of these things. He wasn't in any town. He wasn't in any Tchum of a town. He was in the wilderness. V'samach sham bein Usha and where was this? Between the towns of Usha and Shfaram. So he was in a no man's land. V'samach sham chamisha zakenim, and there he ordained five rabbis. Ve'elohein, and they were Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Huda, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Lazar ben Shamua. Rav Avia mostly for Rav Nechemia. According to Rav Avia's version of the story, there was a sixth one that he gave smicha to Rav Nechemia. When the Romans found out, or their enemies found out, it could have been informers, whatever, but somebody found out about this. Amar Lahan, Banai Rutsu. Rabbi Yehuda said to them, like, escape, run away. Amar they said, Rabbi Matei Alecha, what about you? I'm not going to leave you here to be killed. Amar Lahan, he said, I'm like a rock that you can't turn. Like if you have a huge boulder in the field that you're trying to plow, you go around it. You can't uproot it. Don't worry. I'm not going to be running away here. Amru, they said, and it was said, Lunvio Shilbar Selva So Kfara. Sure, he didn't run away, but while he was there, he was pierced 300 times by iron spears, and until he was like had enough holes in him like a sieve. In other words, he was killed rather brutally. Um, Anyway, what's the point of this whole story? Guess what? Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was the one who was giving smicha. Now, our Mishnah says three people need to give smicha. So, despite the heroism here, isn't it contrary to the rules? Our answer is Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. No, it wasn't just Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. He had two others with him, but why aren't they mentioned in the story? Mishum kvod Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, because Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was the main guy. He was the one, the leader, and so he's the one about whom the story is told. But it could be that there were two other people with him giving the smicha. Or Meir Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava Samchay. Now the Gemara says, wait a minute. You said Rabbi Meir was one of the people who received smicha from Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi said, Koloma Rabbi Meir lo smacho Rabbi Akiva eno en lotoa. And if you think that anybody but Rabbi Akiva gave smicha to Rabbi Meir, you're wrong. It was definitely Rabbi Akiva. So what is this that was Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava? Well, answer Samchay Rabbi Akiva v'lo kiblu. Yes, Rabbi Akiva ordained him, but he wasn't accepted by the rest by his peers as having smicha. Samchay Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava v'kiblu. When they heard that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava gave him smicha, then they accepted it. Perhaps I mean Rabbi Akiva, you'd think he'd probably be the best, like the best giver of smicha, but maybe it was when he was still starting out. Maybe he wasn't, well known yet, or acknowledged as the great sage that he later became.
We have the
So
concept here of Av Beit Din, so maybe Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was the Av of the three,
yeah,
but
I was thinking that too. That's a good point. We already said there were two others, so maybe it was Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava and Rabbi Akiva. The thing is, we were given a location here, and maybe that wasn't Rabbi Akiva's. That maybe that wasn't where he hung out.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that could be, but I'm just thinking Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. There were two others. He was the Av. He's mentioned he was the Av Beit
Yeah,
Din.
yeah, yeah. I
Maybe
agree.
Rabbi Akiva in another place. He was the Av Beit Din. Gave it to him
Uh,
earlier. That's what it seems. It seems he gave it to him earlier, and
yeah.
maybe Reb Meir. I'm
No,
sorry, Rabbi Meir.
yeah.
Or what is I'm getting
No,
backwards. Rabbi Akiva.
what we're saying is who gave Reb Meir smicha. So this
Right.
story says that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, but another source in the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva was the one who gave him smicha. So the
I'm
answer is
just pointing out that why they mentioned those names is because maybe those two individuals were the Av Beit Din of their particular Beit Din. So the other two were not, if we have
were
that
not
concept then,
significant.
what?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But who gave Reb Meir smicha?
Yeah,
We have
okay,
two.
that's yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's a side issue from what we're talking about. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I'm reading Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Ein smicha b'chutz la'aretz. You can't give smicha outside of Israel. My ein smicha. What does it mean? There isn't any smicha. So what do you mean that there's no fines? Like if you don't have smicha, then you're going to run out of rabbis who can judge fines. So does that mean that you can't judge these fines in chutz la'aretz? But no, but we have a Mishnah. Sanhedrin, no, I guess ben ba'aretz and ben chutz la'aretz. The Sanhedrin, functions both in Israel and outside Israel. So it can't mean that you don't judge Dina Knasos outside of Israel. You don't actually do the smicha. So that seemed to be what it meant in the first place, but whatever. The Gemara was unclear about that. But so now we understand that it means you can't give smicha outside of Israel. Pshita, but that's obvious. Oh no, pshita something b'chutzal aretz v'nismachim ba'aretz. Now, what about like a question of if the giver of the smicha is outside of the borders of the land of Israel and the receiver is inside. Well, it's a little strange. Like if you think it's a physical, laying of hands on someone, then I mean, we have cases like this where the border is thought to be a bright line, and you could be one step over it or one step inside it. But we also saw that it could be just a declaration, so maybe it could be done long distance. So if the giver of smicha is outside of Israel, even if the receiver is in Israel, then it's obvious, it's obvious that that wouldn't work. Ha amrinan delo. So that the statement that we just had, you can't do smicha outside of Israel, that covers it. It's not valid. What if the giver of smicha, the active party, is in Israel, and the receiver of smicha is outside of Israel? Does that work or not? Tashma. Rabbi Yochanan mitztayr alei derav Shemen bar Abba lo hava gabaynu delismechei. Rabbi Yochanan was, he wanted to give smicha to this Rav Shemen, but he wasn't there, so he wasn't able to do it, and he was upset about it. Rabbi Shimon ben Zerud v'chad, and he also wanted to give smicha to this Rabbi Shimon and somebody else, a colleague of his, and he wasn't able to do that either. They weren't there. Umanu, and who is the colleague? Rabbi Yonasan ben Achmai. This is Rabbi Yonasan ben Achmai. V'yamri, but some say the that the Brisa says that Rabbi Yonasan ben Achmai v'chad ime. The one that is named in the Brisa is Rabbi Yonasan, and there was one other person, Umanu Rabbi Shimon ben Zerud. And who was that person? Rabbi Shimon. Anyway, these three people, Rabbi Yochanan wanted to give smicha to, but they weren't present, so he was unhappy about this. So what happened? Chad hava gabayu smachu, v'chad lo gabayu lo smachu. So he gave he gave ordination to those who were there, and the ones who didn't show, who weren't at the ceremony, didn't come to the graduation, they didn't get their diplomas. So what does this show? That you have to be there, right? If you have to be there, so then so.
Who has to be there? Which party? The one who will receive or the
Well,
one who
they
giving
have
it?
to be. You have to be in the presence of the one who's giving you smicha.
No, but in Israel, in Eretz Israel.
Mm. So this indicates that both have to be in Eretz Yisrael. Like if the giver of smicha is in Eretz Yisrael, the receiver has to be there also. So remember, we said that, or at least one view was that it doesn't have to be a physical contact of hands. You could just make a declaration. But so then the question is, well, what if I'm in Jerusalem and you're in New York? Can I give you smicha even if you're not there? Because it's just a declaration. I can say I give smicha to Ken, right? But if you're not there, if you're in New York, so the question was, well, what if you're outside of the land of Israel? The answer is, it doesn't matter. Even if you're in the land of Israel, if you're not there, then you can't get smicha. So you have to be there. So if the giver is in Israel, obviously the receiver has to be in Israel.
So I think they're talking about Israel, right? I mean, if one is in Ashkelon and the other is in Haifa,
Then from it, are you in Israel thing, it works. But from the
right?
story of Rabbi Yochanan, it doesn't work.
So how do we explain all or
So when the
what
so
about
when the
Babel?
Brisa
200.
said,
How about the 200 years they were in Babel? Was there no smicha then?
"Oh, great question." Um,
How
I
long were
don't.
they there? 200 years or whatever it was.
Well, plenty long. I mean, the period of the Talmud Bavli was several centuries.
Whatever. I
Um,
mean, 300 years. So there
yeah.
was there no smicha?
Um, I would say probably. It sounds like not. Maybe we'll come to it. I don't know, but it sounds like not. I mean, why we have no smicha today, right? It fell out of use because outside of Israel you can't do it, or at least that's one reason that it could have fallen out of use. Um, I don't know. Maybe I haven't gotten to the end of the sugya, so maybe we'll find out more. But yeah, it sounds at this point it sounds like you're correct. In Bavel, you can't give smicha. So, um, and as we have today, we still have people that we call rabbis, but the official line of smicha has been interrupted.
But that's true Israel in Israel or outside of Israel.
No, in Israel they could still give smicha, but once the exile took root and there was basically almost no more Jewish community in Israel. Um, at that point, then smicha definitely fell into disuse.
Wait, there's no official smicha today, even in Israel. That we
So
lost
even in
the
Israel, yeah, because the chain was interrupted.
chain, right?
Yeah, right. Um, Okay. Rabbi Chanina of Rabbi Hoshaya have a kamishtaked, Rabbi Yochanan l'mismechinu. Rabbi Yochanan also wanted to ordain Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Hoshaya. Well, have a mistay milsa, but it didn't work out. like the circumstances didn't permit. Maybe they were never in this. Turned out they were never in the same place at the same time. How come it's Sartuva? So Rabbi Yochanan was upset. Amalei, so they said to him, Lo nistar mar, don't be upset. Danan mideves Eli kasina. We're descended from the house of Eli, Eli HaKohen. And Eli, who was cursed that his descendants would have lives full of trouble. So this is our trouble. Shmuel said, how do you know that the descendants of Eli do not have smicha? The curse that Eli got in the Navi is there will be no elder. Probably in the context, it probably means all your descendants are going to have short lives, but zaken also means an ordained elder. So that's how it's interpreted here. That you're not going to have any smicha in your family. My zaken, what does elder mean? Ilay zaken mamish. If you want to say it means like literally, people won't grow old. Haksiv v'chol marbis beis yamusu anashim. It says in addition to that, all of the grown-ups in your family will die as young men. So it's repetitive then. Like, what does zaken mean? If it says explicitly everyone's going to die young, so why does it also say and there won't be any old people? Isn't that repetitive? Elasmicha. So we're talking about zaken in the sense of a wise elder or an ordained elder. Okay. Rav Zera have a mitamer lemismechai. Rav Zera would go into hiding because he didn't want to be ordained. The Olam have a kabil v'kayam. You should stay in the dark, like out of the spotlight, and you'll live long. Keva Neshama. So he didn't want the recognition of being ordained because. Sounds something like an Einhara, but like if you're in the spotlight, then you're going to whatever the mechanism is, you're going to be you'll die young. Kevin the Shama Loha Diamar Rav Elazar, but then he heard what Rav Elazar says, and if you're appointed to a senior position, to a responsible position, that's a sign that you've been forgiven all your sins. Oh, now it looks attractive to be ordained. It's like, well, that means I'll have been forgiven all my sins. So then he made an effort to get ordained. When Rosera was ordained, Charle Hache, Lo Kachal, Velo Shrak, Velo Pirkus, Vialis Chaim. They like proclaimed, or they sang, they had poetry about him, that neither makeup nor dye. She has a lot of grace. She's beautiful. In other words, it's a metaphor saying that his wisdom is out there for all to see. He doesn't have to dress it up with fancy, with elaborate drashas or whatever. He's very, very clear that he's a wise person. Kisamchu l'Rabbi Ami l'Rabbi Asi. When Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi got ordination, Sharlei Hachi, they sang like this: Kol min dein smochu lana. Anyone like this could be ordained. In other words, these are great examples of people who should be ordained. Lo misramitin v'lo misarmisin. We don't want any sarmitin or sarmisin. Unclear what this means exactly. Rags or people who use convoluted arguments. Or another version is. We don't want to have ordained people who will rob us or who are bitter like these turmasin. These translated here as lupines, a kind of bean, I think.
So Rashi says smartut. It's like
that's the first one. The first one is a rag.
The first one Rashi translated as the second one, but anyway, then he says smart misin lashon hafchanim kamo saras et hamikra mitsofa l'rosho. He quotes it Shemafchim et Talmei Torah, Talmei Torah. You distort the Torah. You turn it
Yeah,
upside down.
yeah.
He quotes Bava Batra, actually. I didn't remember that.
Hmm. Okay. Rabbi Avo asim misivta leveke. So when Rabbi Avo went from the yeshiva to the palace, to the government, Nafke matronisa devekesar mishayron the matrons of the house of the Caesar would go out and sing about him. Rabbi Diame, rabbi or leader of his people, Midbarna de Umse, leader of his nation. Butsina din Hara, he's bright as a candle. Brich Masyach Lishlam, may your arrival be blessed with peace. So they liked him. Okay.
That was that with the Roman emperor?
Yeah.
Didn't we learn earlier that just a little while ago the Romans were persecuting them? They wanted
Well,
they got
yeah.
smicha. They wanted to chase them and kill them in the city, both the city, the town, the region. And here the people from the emperor's house were going to praise him.
Well, the Roman Empire was a long-lasting thing, and as you know, it started out very well, very disciplined, and ended up very, how shall I say, corrupt, or so these were probably two different periods in history. And there
Hmm.
are lots of stories about good relations between the Tanaim and the Caesar, right? But
That's
maybe this was later when things took a turn for the worse in the Roman Empire, that they were more interested in persecuting. I mean, the whole, the idea of the Roman Empire, they were, well, I don't want to get into that. I don't really know. But yeah, there were different periods in history that's not hard to understand, I think. Okay, next piece of the Mishnah, Arifas Egla Bishlosha. So you have the ceremony of breaking the neck of a calf as as uh, um, penitence for an unsolved murder. You need a cord of three. Tanarabanan, rabbis taught, v'yasu zekenecha v'shavtecha. Your elders and your judges should go out, right? This is where the body is found between two cities. So the elders go out to the location. Um, Zakenecha shnayim. So that's zakenecha. Your elders is plural. Shavtecha, your judges, also plural. Ve'ein beis din shakel. So it's 2 plus 2. You can't have an even number. Mosifin lein al echad. So you add a fifth one. Harikan chamisha. You have 5. Do Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says there actually has to be 5. Rabbi Shimon Omer is a kenecha shnayim. Rabbi Shimon says this is similar to the passage we had yesterday. That but here it's a little less clear. So Zekenecha, the word your elders is plural. So that's at least 2. And based in Shokal, mostly and he doesn't pay any attention to the words Shavtecha, your judges, right? So you've got one plural that he's considering. It's only 2. It's an even number. You have to add on the third one to make it odd. Harikan Shlosha, so there's 3. So let's analyze their argument. Rabbi Shimon, Hai Shavtecha Mayavid. According to Rabbi Shimon, doesn't it also say your judges in plural? Why don't you understand that 2 more are needed? So my answer is it's like not just any zikanim, it has to be the top judges, right, of the town. So it's not coming to tell you that it's a plural, it's coming to modify zikanecha. Rabbi Huda zikne zikanecha nafka. What about Rabbi Huda? How does he know that rule? Because it could have said zikne shoftecha, the elders of your shoftim, right? Zikanecha, since it says your elders in plural, that's how he gets the extra plural. Um, Rabbi Shimon, how's Rabbi Shimon answer that? Imi zikne, because if it would have said zikne shoftecha, then havamina zikne ashuk. I might think it means any zikanim, right? Any elders, and not the top ones. Chas rachmana zikanecha, your elders. In other words, the elders is like a designation of specific elders, the top ones. V'ksiv zekenecha, but if it only had said zekenecha and not shavtecha, havamina sanari katana, I might have thought that you mean zekenecha means not the top level, but the respected level, like those who are in the court of 23, but not the top ones of those. Even among the the upper tier of judges, it has to be the top ones that do the Eglah Rufa. Rabbi Huda. So how does Rabbi Yehuda know that it's only like the top judges are eligible? Gomer zikne zikne mivsamchu zikne ha'edes yadam. That he does from Xera Shava. That the pasuk says the when it's talking about the what's the name of it, the carbon, where the Sanhedrin makes a mistake and they have to do smicha on the
Helam
carbon.
davar. That's a helam davar. Helam davar.
Parham Delver, yes, thank you. Um, so so there it uses the word zikne ha'ela, malan muchanim shebeilav kam muchanim shebizkenecha. So just as the word zikne there means obviously the Sanhedrin, the top court in the country, or of the whole nation. Because that's who we're talking about, the Parham Delver. It's when the Sanhedrin makes an error. Here too, zikne means members of the Sanhedrin. Um, which
Why is he mentioning the top and the not top? So the top is 71, the next is 23, but here we're talking about 3 versus 5 judges.
yeah, but who are they, right? What is the identity of these judges? So you only need 3 or 5, but which judges are they? They have to be taken from the top tier.
Uh-huh.
So Gemara says, okay, Yalif, if you're going to get it from Xer Shava, Leilif Kulam Yalsam. So get everything from there. Like you need, for example, that you need at least 5. Get that from there. Why do you have these words, Zekenecha and Shavtecha? So that indicates that he doesn't use the Xer Shava. Ella, so you have a different explanation. Vav v'Shavtecha luminyana. The v'Shavtecha, the conjunction, the vav, the and, um, that is what tells you that you need the extra judges. Rabbi Shimon, Vav Ladarish. Rabbi Shimon doesn't believe that you can use the vav in that way. Okay, so now we've got their whole dispute rests on this letter vav. So fine. So we have one that holds 3 and one that holds 5. Almeata viatzu shnayim umadu shnayim. Now, if you're going to say, what about what they actually do? They go out, and they measure between the two towns. So maybe you need 2 more judges for each one of those. Rabbi Yudah Tisha. So instead of 5, there should be 9. Rabbi Shimon Shiva, or according to Rabbi Shimon, right? Because you have 2 more plurals. No, that we already used for a drasha as follows. V'yatzu hein v'lo shluchan. They go out. In other words, they have to go personally, the judges, and not send out agents. Umadadu shafilu nimtza be'alil layer. Even if it's like you don't need to measure, right? You can see visually that the body is closer to one city or another. Still, you have to measure. You actually have to go through the exercise of measuring. So that's why you have the word umadadu, not to tell you that you need 2 more, but to tell you details about what they have to do. Masnisin the Loki Aitana, and that disagrees with another mission, the Tanya, another brisa. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, the judges and the elders and judges shall go out to the field. Zekenecha zu Sanhedrin. Zekenecha means the judges from the Sanhedrin. Shavtecha is a melech v'choin gadol, not other judges, but the king and the kohen gadol are the referred to as the judges, the shoftim. Melech, how do I know that shoftim means melech? Tuchsiv melech b'mishpat yamid aretz. King establishes the land through mishpat, through justice. So that's how a shofet, mishpat and shofet, from the same word, it refers to a melech. And kohen gadol tuchsiv uvasal kohanim halavim v'el hashofet. You come to this is the bikurim, I think, right? Yeah, you come to the kohanim and to the judge. So the understanding here is that it's the same person. You're coming to the kohen who is the judge. Ibailu, so they asked Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, B'chada plig or b'tarti plig? Does Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, is he arguing about just the he mentioned the pasuk v'yatzu kenachav v'shektecha. Does he also think that umadadu refers uh, refers to not the measurers but the judge but the oh 1 second what are we
No, I
asking
think he's
here?
talking about the coin and the melech, those two
Oh
things.
yeah, so B'melech v'kohen gadol pali. Yeah, the Gemara explains. Is he is he arguing with our Mishnah about the king and the kohen gadol? In other words, that they have to be there during the measuring. Avol b'Sanhedrin ikra Rabbi Yehuda ikra Rabbi Shimon. But about the number of judges he could hold either way, like Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Shimon, 3 or 5. Odilma b'Sanhedrin nami pali. Maybe he's also arguing with our Mishnah. Diamar kula Sanhedrin, and he might say that the whole Sanhedrin is required. Or Yosef Tashma. Mitzana base Pagi v'Himra Alein. If you found the Sanhedrin at this place called Beis Pagi and you rebelled against something that they ruled, in other words, a Zaken Mamre he rules against the Sanhedrin. Yachotei Hamra so Hamra. That might be considered a formal rebellion for Zaken Mamre. Talmud Lomar v'kamtov elisa lamakom. Now you have to go up to the place that God chose, which means in Yerushalayim in the temple. Malami shamakom garim. That if the Sanhedrin is sitting somewhere else, then the rule of Zaken Mamre doesn't apply. So Dunafu Kama. Now, so what does this price have to do with us? Well, let's see. How many of the Sanhedrin were at this other place, or were not at the headquarters? Eleva Miksasa, and if you want to say only some of them, Dilma Hanach Deika Gavai Kaime Kavase, maybe the ones that weren't there, right, the ones that were still back in the temple, maybe they agreed with the Zaken Mamre. Like maybe there was a split court. Ella Pshita Dunafukulu. So we're talking about the whole Sanhedrin is in Beis Pagi in somewhere other than their headquarters. Lamai, why are they there? If it was they went voluntarily mimatzli nafke. Can you do that? Can you have the whole Sanhedrin leave the headquarters? Vaksiv sharech agan hasar al yasar hamazeg. Pasuk in Shir Shirim, it's like a metaphor. Your leaders are like a translates here. No, Sharech translates here. Your navel is like a moon-shaped basin. Let not the blend diminish. But Al Yachsar Hamazik means like don't. If it's a metaphor for the Sanhedrin, it's don't let the measure be half empty, right? Or be missing anything. So, meaning that you have to have at least 23 judges in the headquarters at all times. So they can't have all left. And must have been there was some overriding concern. They were doing some kind of mitzvah. Hey, Chidami, what kind of mitzvah? Lav limdida segla. What mitzvah would possibly require all of the Sanhedrin to leave town and go somewhere and go to a different place? It must be Egla Rufa. So this is indicating that the whole Sanhedrin has to go to the Egla Rufa ceremony.
We're
Rabbi
saying
Elazar
the
ben
whole,
Yaakov,
or we're saying a majority. I'm
no,
saying
the whole thing, everybody. Right? If it's implying that there was a good reason, that there was a mitzvah that required the whole Sanhedrin to be in Beis Pagi. It can't be only part of them because then you can't have Zakai Mamre ruling against part of the Sanhedrin. That's not a Zakai Mamre. Maybe he's agreeing with the part that isn't there. Right? So it must be he is ruling against the entire Sanhedrin, and it must be that it's outside of the headquarters. And why are they there? It must be that there's a mitzvah that requires them to be there. What mitzvah could that be? It could only be the Eglah Rufa. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, who diamar kuli Sanhedrin being, and um, it's if it's Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, he says all the judges are needed there. So Gemara says not necessarily Amalei Baye. Well, it's not necessarily the case that they all have to be there to measure the distance for the Egla Rufa. Kigon, Shiyasul Hosif Al-Ir V'Al-Azaros. There's another reason they could have left. Maybe they wanted to sanctify, extra. They wanted to annex things to Yerushalayim or to the courtyards of the temple. So they left their headquarters for that reason, and not necessarily Egla Rufa. We have a Mishnah in Mosif and Al-Ir V'Al-Azaros based in Shel Shimon B'Yachad. You can only annex new territory to the city of Yerushalayim or to the temple courtyard in the presence of the whole Sanhedrin. Okay, so Tani Kavasi Rabbi Yosef. We have now we're back to the question of, do you need all of the judges of the Sanhedrin to be involved in this Egla Rufa or just some of them? So we have a brisa that agrees with Rav Yosef that it's all of them. Mitzan abes pagi v'himralayan. The same brisa, same issue we talked about a minute ago. The Sanhedrin is in Beis Pagi, in other words, not in their headquarters, and somebody rules against them. For example, and here it's specifically it mentions Egla Rufa as one of the reasons that the Sanhedrin could have left its premises. It could have been for annexing territory to the city of Yerushalayim, but it also could have been, it says explicitly, to measure for an Egla Rufa. So maybe this is considered Zachin Mamre rebellion. So the Torah says no, it only counts if they're in the headquarters. The place where this happens makes a difference. Okay. Next thing in the Mishnah. If you have to rule about how much the value of Maser Sheni or Netaravai, that, as you know, you can redeem it and take the money to Yerushalayim and spend it there. But how much is it worth? So you need how many did it say? Was it 3? Yeah, you need 3. A cord of 3, or peros and ezu master sheni shein dam if you do. And when do you need such a ruling? Peros shehirkivu v'yain shehikrim. You have fruit that's spoiled or wine that went bad. Umal shechlidu or coins that rusted or eroded. So that's where you need a court to determine what their value was. Tanarabban, the rabbis taught, Master Sheni Shendam if you do it. If you have Master Sheni, the value is unknown. You go to 3 people in the marketplace, right? Three wholesalers or retailers or whatever. You go to 3 merchants to determine its value. But not 3 people who are not, involved in the trade. And it doesn't have to be even Jewish. It just has to be someone with knowledge. And even if one of the merchants is the owner, it still counts. You're just looking for a professional opinion. By Rav Yirmiyah, what if there are these three judges are all partners, right? Can they be like, they're not independent? Like maybe they are, interested parties. In other words, they're trying to influence the marketplace price, and they're all sharing in the benefit of that. So what about that? Tashma. Ish ushtein ashav podi master sheni shein dam of you doing. You could have a man and his 2 wives as these 3 people. So they're kind of like business partners because their assets are all pooled, they're all shared, right? It's not that each has their own independent interests; they all have the same interests financially. So Gemara says maybe not. Dilma Kagon Rav Papa Ubas Abba Surah. Maybe they are independent. For example, Rav Papa and his wife, who was the daughter of Abba Surah, they didn't share. Like you may recall that a woman can say, I'm not going to be supported by my husband, and I'm going to get to keep the fruits of my own labor. So it's not necessarily the case that a man and his 2 wives, they could be independent. It's not necessarily the case that they're all the same interests.
So they're all pulled together, or what? The man and his 2 wives, or they're pulled separately? What?
No, they're serving as the panel to determine the
Oh,
value of Maser Sheni, where the value is not clear. Hakdeshos b'shlosha. Mishnah said the appraisal of things for hekdesh that also requires three. Masnisin lokiatan, and against a different Mishnah, a different Tanya, a different Brisa. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, afilu tzinora shel hekdesh tzricha asar b'nei adam liftosa. Even a tzinor, a fork that belongs to the temple. You need 10 people, even the smallest detail, you need 10 people to appraise it properly. So that's opposed to our mission, which says you only need three. Okay, I know where Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov gets his opinion from. Shmuel. Because Shmuel said, Asar Kohanim Ksuvim B'Parsha. There's when the parsha of dealing with things that are consecrated to the temple uses the word Kohen 10 times. So that's a source for an indication that you need 10 people on the panel to appraise things for hekdesh. But where do the rabbis get the idea that three is sufficient? Maybe because um, there's another, in the parsha dealing with that. That's the parsha that says Kohen 10 times deals with land, but the parsha that deals with metaltalin, with movable objects, only has the word Kohen 3 times. Maybe that's the source. But if that's so, karkos tichsibu arba tiskebi arba. But then, no, I'm sorry. The real estate part of the parsha has Kohen 4 times, so maybe that should only be four.
four. Where do you get
Yeah.
four? Oh,
No, I didn't look at the parsha to count them. The 10 is yes. So there's 10, including real estate, where there's 4 mentions of coin, metalsing, where there's 3 mentions of coin, and archin, which is the valuation of people, another 3 mentions of coin. So a total of 10. So Rav and Yaakov and Shmuel say, that means that any valuation has to be with 10 people. But where's the source for 3? So if you want to say that the source is because about metaltalin, it uses the word coin 3 times. So anything with metaltalin, you only need 3 appraisers. But then you would have to say that for real estate, you need 4 appraisers, right? Because in the part of the parsha that deals with real estate, it mentions the word coin 4 times. So that can't be the case, because nobody says that. And if you want to say, yes, indeed, so for real estate evaluation, you need 4 people, but alama tanana karkos tisha v'koin. But our Mishnah says it needs 10, not 4. That evaluating property or real property needs 9 people plus a coin, so it's not 4. So it can't be that you think it's 3 because it mentions the word coin 3 times in the part of the parsha that deals with metaltalin. That can't be the reason. So where do you get 3 from? Elamai, the mashlamei behu asara, because the in the because the 4 references to coin bring the total number of references up to 10. Hekdeshos to Mishalmi Behu Shita Libo Shita. But if that's the case, then when you get to the metaltalin, it starts with 3 mentions of coin referring to erechim, right? The value of people. And then it adds on 3 more for Kohen, 3 more mentions of the word Kohen when it deals with metaltalin. So that is a total so far of 6. So metaltalin should lead 6. So then why would you need 3? So there's no reasonable source for 3, right? For saying that you only need 3. So what's the source? Kasha. So we don't have an answer for that. And we'll leave it here and pick it up tomorrow
where
for
do we get the
about
6 again? We get
I'm
the
sorry?
6. How do we get 6 again?
Because if you're going with cumulative mentions of the word Kohen, so the parsha starts first with arachin, evaluation of people, and it mentions the word Kohen 3 times. Okay, and then it deals with metaltalin, and it mentions the word Cohen another 3 times. Now, if you're going to say we're talking cumulative, then that's 3 plus 3 is 6 so far for metaltalin, right? So, like, you can't say that it's only the number of mentions of the word Cohen in that section, because then you would be stuck with 4 for real estate. But nobody says that. Nobody says 4 for real estate, right? So you can't be just talking about viewing that section in isolation. And if you want to say you're talking about cumulative, so then real estate would come out good with 10, right? Because the cumulative number of the word Cohen, um, when you finish the section of, by the time you finish the section of real estate, you've got 10. But then if you're doing cumulative, then you would have to say that metaltalin, the cumulative number of of the word Cohen, is 6, because you started out with 3 for Merichin and now you have 3 for metaltalin. Nobody says that either, right? So we still have no source for why do you think that it's only that you need 3 to to evaluate metaltalin.
So
And
when
the
the
Gemara would
Gemara
say
uses the
that.
word heck they showed, is that what is that referring to? Is that is that metaltalin or is that the Mashalmi Bahu Shita? Heck they showed. The Mashalmi Bahu Asara, right? That was we thought maybe we need 10, but then it says heck they showed. What is that? What's that word?
It seems to be referring to metaltalin.
But it doesn't refer to the carbonate, to the or metalton is what? That is referred to the carbonate, the animals that
No,
bring.
metaltalin is anything you donate to the temple that's not real estate.
So
Like
it could be
I could give my computer to the temple if I wanted to, right?
so it could be the animal. It could be the
It
animals
could be
then
an
too.
animal, yeah. I mean, look, if you say something is a carbon, that doesn't go to the treasury, that becomes a carbon. We're talking about donations to the treasury.
So okay, so it did. In this case, it would not be one of the animals, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could donate an animal not specifically for a carbon. Say, I donate
Okay.
the value of this animal to the temple treasury. You could do that.
Okay.
But we're not talking about carbonates, if that's what you're asking.
No, okay. But it could be anything they're donating. It could be right. It could
Yeah,
be
yeah, exactly.
all right.
Okay, we'll pick it up here tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody.